It is the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're here every single day from 5 to 6 talking about the local issues that matter to you most and taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222, your emails at randykabc@gmail.com, and search for the KABC News Blitz wherever you get your podcasts. There was a press conference this morning in front of the 6th Street Bridge. You know, the one that's full of graffiti and doesn't have any working lights. And it was quite the union. You had Assemblyman Mark Gonzalez. You had District Attorney Nathan Hochman. You had LA County Sheriff Robert Luna. And you had Isabel Jurado, the DSA council member from that area. They've all come together because they would like Gavin Newsom to sign a new piece of legislation sitting on his desk that, if passed and signed, would crack down on copper wire theft. Now, I don't know if Isabel Jurado consulted with Hugo Soto Martinez when she showed up to this press conference.
You know, let's criminalize catalytic converters. Let's criminalize copper.
But at least it looks like we might have a united front in everybody agreeing that what's going on in Los Angeles with the theft of copper wire is unacceptable. So let's see what they all have to say about it, shall we? Here is Assemblyman Mark Gonzalez from the downtown LA area.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for being here. My name is Assemblymember.
That's too much energy for this thing was like 9 a.m. Calm it down a little bit. Maybe only have the one espresso.
Assemblymember Mark Gonzalez. I'm a proud resident of downtown Los Angeles, but also...
By the way, I want to point out to you what just happened here. As somebody who has worked in the audio field for many years, they probably did a whole bunch of stage checks. They checked the podium. They had the main speaker, Mark Gonzalez, check his microphone, and he probably went check, 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 1, 2, 3. And so they set the volume of the microphone to a certain level. Then, when Mark Gonzalez started his actual speaking voice, it was so loud they turned his volume down.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for being here. My name is Assemblymember Mark Gonzalez. I'm a proud resident of downtown Los Angeles.
They put him down 10 decibels. They boosted him back up, but he's a little louder than he said it was going to be.
Downtown Los Angeles, but also proud to represent the 54th Assembly District. I represent the 5th poorest district in the state. 85%.
I don't know if that's something you should be proud of.
The 54th Assembly District. I represent the 5th poorest district in the state. 85% of my district is renters. 70% of my district speaks another language other than English. And as you can hear from the construction here today,
my district is downtown LA, and it's pretty downtown LA.
And as you can hear from the construction here today, there is so much work, so much happening in downtown, but we cannot have the work and have everyone see it if the lights are completely out. And so
this guy's brand new member of the Assembly. Public speaking's not his thing, but I am not here to judge him, because if he can get Gavin Newsom to sign this bill, maybe, just maybe, it will help to crack down on copper wire theft. Maybe. Let's find out what's in it first.
And so we're gathering today to shine a light, quite literally, on a growing...
That's so close.
...on a growing threat dimming our streets and endangering our neighbors' copper wire theft. Let me be clear. Copper wire theft is not a victimless crime. Every stolen wire is more than metal ripped from the ground. It's light ripped from our communities. It's the street where children walk home from school.
Oh, we're about to get politician poetic here. Let's hear every cliched example I can imagine. Why can't you just say, this bad, here's what we do about it?
It's the small business owner closing early because...
If politicians didn't love to hear themselves speak, these press conferences would be about 5 minutes instead of 40.
It's the small business owner closing early because the block that they work on feels unsafe. It's the senior waiting to help that never comes because a phone line went dead because they...
Okay. This guy's new, and he's stumbling over his words of his prepared remarks. Let's hear this again.
It's the senior waiting to help that never comes because a phone line went...
I think you meant to say the senior that's waiting for help because they hit the life alert, but I guess... the phone cable's disconnected, so it doesn't work anymore.
that never comes because a phone line went dead because they stole the copper wire from their neighborhood. Or both the seniors and the students who are waiting at a dark bus stop because the lights have been pulled from that area.
This is all in his district, huh? Sounds great.
In Los Angeles, last year alone, there were nearly 46,000 service requests for streetlight outages, nearly 40% due to copper theft.
Okay, think about that for 1 second, because this tells us quite a few different things. Listen to what Mark Gonzalez, the assemblyman, had to say one more time.
In Los Angeles, last year alone, there were nearly 46,000 service requests for streetlight outages, nearly 40% due to copper theft.
In 1 year, there were 46,000 streetlight requests. That's a whole lot of streetlights in 1 year. No wonder the city's broke. But remember what he said about the cause of them.
Nearly 40% due to copper theft.
And, okay, 40% due to copper theft. That's awful. Hopefully we can do something about it. What's the other 60%? Is that just rotting infrastructure? Just your typical wear and tear? Because that is also an indictment of the city of Los Angeles.
Hitting the hardest neighborhoods that I represent in downtown Los Angeles, Boyle Heights, Westlake, Pico Union, and Lincoln Heights.
They got to change the name of Westlake. Because you tell somebody Westlake and they could think of two very different neighborhoods. They could think of MacArthur Park, or they could think of that place near Newbury Park.
Imagine that. Entire blocks, entire communities plunge into darkness, not by nature, but by neglect and by greed.
Yeah, this isn't like Mr. Burns with his device that blocks out the sun. No, no, no. This is all the meth heads stole all the wires so they could sell them to recyclers so they could buy more meth.
On the 6th Street Bridge behind me, once called the Ribbon of Light, thieves...
Who called it that?
Thieves stripped 38,000 feet of making...
Oh, now the feed's cutting out for this thing. Not intentional, but you know what it sounds like right here? It sounds like someone was stealing the copper wire that was powering this podium.
On the 6th Street Bridge behind me, once called the Ribbon of Light, thieves stripped 38,000 feet of...
It's happening so often, it was even happening at the presser.
Making $11,000 while taxpayers footed $2.5 million to repair.
Wait, what?
Making $11,000 while taxpayers footed $2.5 million to repair.
This is the world that we're in now when it comes to certain kinds of property crime. The damage that is done so vastly outweighs whatever the financial reward or incentive it is for the criminal. It's like the person that uses a stolen Kia to crash into a liquor store. Maybe they steal $300 or $400. Maybe they steal a carton or two of cigarettes. But the damage to the business is in the tens of thousands of dollars. The street value for copper, when you sell it to one of these crooked recyclers or black market junkers, which apparently are a thing according to the sheriff's department, it's like $5 a pound. It's higher than it used to be, but it's still $5 a pound. And a pound of copper wire is a lot. So you're doing a whole lot of lifting for not a whole lot of money. It's almost like the only reason you would do this is because you're not getting caught.
Making $11,000 while taxpayers footed $2.5 million to repair.
Also, it tells you that there's something else going on here. The thieves stole $11,000 worth of copper from the 6th Street Bridge. That's how much they made when they sold it to the crooked recyclers who, for some reason, we can't go after. Maybe this bill will change that. $11,000. So how much does it cost the city of LA to fix $11,000 worth of missing copper? $2.5 million. The cost of repair, there's something weird going on there. Because if that tells you how expensive it is to do anything in the city of Los Angeles, I think we know why we're in the state that we're in. When to fix $11,000 worth of damage, it costs $2.5 million.
2 years later,
How much are we paying for that stolen copper that's probably being sold right back to us?
2 years later, parts of that beautiful bridge remain dark.
Most of it remains dark, and the rest of it has graffiti on it.
A symbol of both the scale of this problem and the urgency of our response today. This isn't just about the cost, though. It's about safety. It's about dignity. It's about the right of every neighborhood to shine.
We're getting poetic again, aren't we?
When our lights go out, so does a sense of security that keeps our communities thriving. Streetlights are not luxuries. They are lifelines. That's why I authored AB 476.
Finally, we are 2 minutes into this. He's finally going to tell us what the bill is that he wrote that got passed in the legislature that he wants Gavin to sign, which also, I don't know this, but it doesn't seem like a necessarily good sign that instead of having a press conference where Gavin's there and signing the bill, as he's done for a lot of other bills lately, you're having a press conference begging him to sign something. Because Gavin does like that veto pen. He just vetoed a bill that was supported by both sides of the legislature and the recovery community that would have allowed for the state to spend some of the money they spend on housing first to recovery housing so people can get clean. And Gavin said no to that.
That's why I authored AB 476, a common sense, bipartisan measure to combat the crisis head on and protect California's critical infrastructure.
All right, so what does it do? I gotta know.
This bill does three very simple things. It expands the reporting requirements for junk dealers and recyclers, including, for example, the weight, visible etchings, and serial numbers.
Okay, that's something. If you want to be a junker, if you want to be a recycler, you want to be a smelter, you're going to have to document every piece of copper that comes in, because how much copper, when we're talking about copper wire that is brought into one of these shops, is being brought in legitimately. Oh, we had some leftover on our construction site.
Second, it prohibits possession of critical scrap metal without documentation, such as...
By the way, something that's interesting to find out about this is these are all the things that we need to do, which tells you, according to at least Mark Gonzalez, and Hockman was there and Luna was there as well, current state law is not strong enough to say that the recycling companies, the junkers, the scavengers, the smelters can't get in trouble for buying stolen copper.
Second, it prohibits possession of critical scrap metal without documentation, such as fire hydrants or fire department connections, manhole covers, or backflow devices.
Because all of those things have been stolen, and you don't steal them just to keep them in your house.
And lastly, it increases the penalties to reflect the true cost of these crimes from $3,000 to $5,000.
We were so close. See, this all sounds good. I want to know how the enforcement's going to work out. But all of this, we are finally cracking down on the source of this problem, which is the recycling companies and the scavenging companies, the junkers, who are taking the stolen copper, melting it down, and selling it back to the city. And we're going to increase the fines from $3,000 to $5,000, and that's going to stop it.
And lastly, it increases the penalties to reflect the true cost of these crimes from $3,000 to $5,000.
You know, I always hear that California is overregulated. How hard would it be to, I don't know, take away the business license of anyone that's caught with stolen copper, and if they continue to operate, put them in prison? Because I don't care if it's a non-violent crime. The amount of damage that is caused from just this one category leads to all kinds of violent crime. And increasing the fines when apparently these people are making a whole bunch of money, I don't know if that's really going to do much. It's kind of like the cost of doing business. None of these new regulations are going to have any teeth if all we're talking about is increasing the fines.
It increases the range of those penalties for junk dealers or recyclers who knowingly buy or receive materials that have reasonably known.
I mean, this isn't like a small thing. This isn't, stolen clothing that you go sell at MacArthur Park. This is big, heavy equipment, and it can only be bought and processed by certain organizations and certain groups. We have to know who they are. Who's got a backyard smelter?
Belonging to something like a railroad.
Are there any back alley blacksmiths that you know about?
Belonging to something like a railroad, utility, or a government entity from $1,000 to $5,000. AB 476 has...
This kid's in the right place, but if the only way to get this to pass was to say, hey, we're going to take some fines and we're going to increase those fines, that doesn't do anything.
AB 476 has broad support across our state from cities, from law enforcement, utilities, business leaders, and community advocates. And you'll hear from them this morning because everyone understands what's at stake. Californians are tired of paying the price for that theft that steals more than copper. It steals safety, it steals connection, and it steals community. Today we stand united as lawmakers, leaders, and neighborhood leaders to say enough is enough.
We're going to fine you.
It's time to turn the lights back on across California. And Governor Newsom, we are urging you to please sign this bill.
Again, not a good sign if Gavin hasn't signed this. What are we waiting for?
Up next, we are joined.
So that's what Mark Gonzalez had to say. When we come back, we'll hear from Nathan Hochman, the district attorney, because this is the guy that should be charging all of this stuff. We'll see what he has to say about this bill that's supposed to crack down on stolen copper wire. First, let's go to Matt in Anaheim. Matt, hello.
Well, hi there. Nice to hear your voice.
Howdy.
Hi there. I just wanted to share a story. In 2009 to 2019, I started working in Santa Ana as a medical manufacturing facility. And at one point, you got to go through quarantine. You got to have your medicines be in a period of time. Somebody cut the copper for the whole district there, the whole area. And it cost around $3.2 million for whatever, $15 worth of copper. It was pretty extreme.
The damage that is caused from these thefts is so insane. It's shocking to me that this is as far as we want to go with it.
Really, I mean, to put it out there and to find out what it is, I do actually a little bit of gold refining for my friend, broken necklaces. That's worth it. That's worth it's 2,000 degrees to melt it. There's not really any fumes, but I got another one. They're flat top buildings, these medical manufacturing, and there's only one or two mattresses there every year. There's a train tracks nearby, only one guy living there. Get to like 2012, 2015. Now there's mattresses up on, I don't even know how they got them up there, but they're up there, multiple times a year. And then the train tracks just turn into a little city. You just sit there and watch it. And what did the city do? They opened an injection clinic down the way. I distributed hollow needles and I wanted to make something for electrical. And I couldn't buy needles even though I was distributing them, but they gave them away to junkies and I paid for it. It's just, what the heck, dude? It's self-destructive.
These are the priorities of California, and it really doesn't make any sense. Thank you so much for the call, Matt. Appreciate it. 800-222-KABC is the phone number, 1-800-222-5222. Do you think increasing the fines is going to really crack down on the stolen copper wire trade in California? 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. We're taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC. The California legislature passed a bill that is supposed to crack down on copper wire theft by having the recyclers and the junkers have more reporting, and if they get caught with stolen goods, they get more fines. Do you think that's enough? Is more fining really going to stop this problem? Let's go to Roberto in LA. Roberto, hello.
Yeah, how are you?
Doing great.
So my comment on that is if you keep voting for that party, you get what you voted for and everything you deserve. The key is don't vote for that party.
Well, unfortunately, a lot of people in Los Angeles will continue to do that no matter what. But I do understand the sentiment. Thanks so much for the call. Let's go to Lou in Granada Hills. Lou, hello.
Hey, so you were saying, why does it cost so much? I work for one of the phone companies. It's man hours. They steal the copper, they strip it, then we have to buy it where it has not only inside casing, it has outside casing, then it has metal, so it's, 4 times as much. And then you have, like in our case, construction goes out, pulls it in, and then maintenance goes out and splices it back into where it goes to. So, because we get wires stolen all the time on top of the DWP guys and everything. It's the man hours that cost the most, and yes, I know y'all think we're paid too much, but we're not really. So.
Well, I never said that, but believe you me, I understand what you're saying. And I think the point here is that this kind of crime is so destructive. And what we have right now is not a deterrent for it. And increasing the fines for the bad actors isn't a deterrent either.
No, it's not. I mean, I've been to these recycling places because I do internet and phone and, stuff like that. And they don't check anything. They're supposed to check to see. They're supposed to have a work order, and they don't check anything. They just come in, they bring it in a truck, and they say, they can make it up. It's kind of like the house stealing commercial. They can just make it up where they got it. All they have to do is have an invoice that looks legit. I mean, they're just gonna keep doing it. There's no a $5,000 fine is not a deterrent to any of these people. So, I mean,
you are
it's just
totally
ridiculous.
right about that.
It's just pandering to the public, as they usually do to us. So.
Well, they want to make us think that they are doing something about it, but unless we want to actually have some teeth in this, take away their licenses, put these people out of business, and if they continue to act, put them in prison, I don't think we're going to see a change to this. Thanks so much for the call, Lou. Appreciate it. 800-222-KABC is the phone number, 1-800-222-5222. Do you think increasing the fines is really going to crack down on the stolen copper wire trade in California? 800-222-KABC. 1-800-222-5222. If you're on hold, stay on hold to get to your calls, and we'll hear from Nathan Hochman next. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. It is the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're here every single day from 5 to 6 talking about the local issues that matter to you most and taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222, your emails at randykabc@gmail.com, and search for the KABC News Blitz wherever you get your podcasts. We're taking your phone calls right now at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. The California legislature passed a bill. They want Gavin Newsom to sign it. It will toughen the penalties for people who purchase stolen copper wire. And by toughen the penalties, I mean increase the fines from $3,000 to $5,000. Yeah, I don't think that's going to do it. Let's go to Stephen in Simi Valley. Stephen, hello.
Hello. Hey, Stephen here. So there's an alternative for the wire, and that's aluminum wire. There's places out here in Simi Valley, and they've had the aluminum wire for like 40 years, and it's not as good as the copper, but nobody steals it.
Yeah, that's something we definitely have to consider. If we can power lights and power basic infrastructure with something that is not super attractive to the criminal element that people can smelt down, that's going to cut down on this. So that's something we should definitely be looking into. Thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. In a perfect world, we could just arrest all the bad people that do this, and then we wouldn't have this problem. But unfortunately, we have to work smarter, not harder. So yeah, we're going to have to figure out ways that infrastructure doesn't involve expensive. And you would think copper's not supposed to be expensive, but that doesn't matter. Let's go to Dale in Long Beach. Dale, hello.
Yeah, Randy, who would enforce the law? Your local police department? I heard they were already taxed out.
Well, that's part of the problem with this. Whenever you talk about increasing the penalties, who is going to be doing the enforcement for this? Is it the sheriff's department? Is it LAPD? Is it the prosecutor's office with Nathan Hochman in LA County? We're not totally sure about that, but that if there isn't enough enforcement, which we haven't really seen lately, and it doesn't look like these changes to the law are changing anything that substantially, I don't think we're going to have a big change in this at all.
They steal brass valves from the women's bathroom in Lakewood Park. My friend is a plumber for the city of Lakewood. They stole all the flush valves. He went down to the local recycling center, looked in these blue plastic big bin things that look like trash cans, and seen all of his flush valves in there. So he called the sheriff's department. The sheriff shows up, looks in there, and goes, "Yeah, there's all your valves." He said, "You should be a detective."
That's fantastic. Thanks so much for the call, Dale. Appreciate it. Now, other states do it a little different than California. And this is where, since California is known as the place with all the regulation, why don't we regulate the hell out of this? For instance, why don't you have to have a license to sell copper wire? If you were selling scrap metal, you should probably be some kind of licensed contractor. And let's stop incentivizing the bums to steal stuff that they see from construction sites, because you can't sell it unless you have a license. You can't buy it unless you have a license. And we have a strict review process for it. And if you are caught operating in this trade without a license, that is prison. Seems like that would do it, but no, we can't do that. Because unless it's a violent crime, it's not a real crime. Let's hear what Nathan Hochman has to say about this.
Thank you, Assemblymember Gonzalez. AB 476 needs to be signed by the governor, and it needs to be signed today. I remember
it's the end of the day, and he did not sign it.
I remember
he might. He may sign it in the future, but it's just strange to me that, and this is the third or fourth bill that Mark Gonzalez has this presser for of, hey, we passed something, we need you to sign it.
I remember when this 6th Street bridge behind me opened up. It was an iconic bridge. You have views of Los Angeles from one end of the bridge to the next that you have nowhere else in this city. And
Sure. I don't know. I'm jaded. I'm born and raised here. I don't think this is a very pretty city.
And at nighttime, when it got lit up, it was magical. And
okay, now you're legging on a little thick, Hochman.
And I thought when the lights went down a couple years ago that maybe the city was trying to save some money. Then I found out that the real reason why the 6th Street Bridge is not lit, why one of the most iconic landmarks in Los Angeles does not shine at night, is because copper wire thieves stole the copper. They stole miles and miles of copper. They basically got $11,000 for making the 6th Street Bridge dark, and it's going to cost $2.5 million to replace.
Again, if that's the difference, then we need to massively increase the penalties. If this kind of damage, and by the way, you're wondering, what are the criminal statutes that apply to this? I'm glad you asked. Well, Rob Bonta, the Attorney General, was asked earlier this year, why isn't he doing anything about this? And he put out an advisory to all California law enforcement agencies. And it says, here are the criminal statutes applicable to the theft of copper wire. Grand theft, which is a wobbler offense, sometimes could be a misdemeanor. Grand theft of copper materials exceeding $950, which is also yet another wobbler. It's usually a misdemeanor. Penal Code Section 591, cutting or disconnecting a utility line. That's a wobbler, so it's probably a misdemeanor. Vandalism. Yeah, we don't really charge that. How about the criminal statutes applicable to the purchase or the sale of stolen copper wire? Well, receiving stolen property, that's a wobbler. Penal Code Section 496A, junk and secondhand dealers receiving metals used in transportation or public service utilities. That's a wobbler offense. None of these are serious charges. And at no point are we talking about anyone losing their licenses to do this. If we're the regulatory hell that is California, regulate the bleep out of this industry. And if you wonder why they don't, how politically connected are some of these recyclers? I'm just saying, look at the Dong family in Oakland and look at their relationship with one Rob Bonta. Statutes related to junk dealers and recyclers' obligations. Well, Penal Code Section 496A. Every person who is a dealer or collector in junk, metal, secondhand materials who buys junk-hand materials shall obtain evidence of the seller's identity due to a driver's license. And they must have a record. Yeah, but if you don't keep up those records, misdemeanor. There are no real punishments for buying stolen copper wire, and increasing the fines isn't going to do a damn thing.
And so when I started to learn about the copper wire theft problem throughout this county, what I found out is it's not just a bridge. We have streetlights throughout this entire county that are dark at night. They're trying to repair these things over and over and over again. They have limited resources to do that.
Oh, listen to this part at the bottom of his advisory. Criminal enforcement and penalties. A junk dealer or recycler who knowingly and willfully fails to keep written records or include specified information, who refuses to provide those records within 2 years, may be charged with a misdemeanor. Whenever a peace officer has probable cause to believe that a property in the possession of a junk dealer is stolen, the peace officer may place a hold on that property for 90 days. What? The best we can do is the dealer can't smelt that stolen copper wire for 90 days. At what point do you take away their business licenses? I'm sure there's plenty of other legitimate people that would love to do this work.
And where does that impact people? Johnny Wachter. Johnny Wachter was the actor who got killed right outside of downtown near 11th Street in downtown. Now, he got killed because three individuals were trying to steal his catalytic converter. But why did they choose Johnny Wachter's car at 3 a.m. at that exact spot? Because the street lights were out. It was dark.
So one smelting crime led to another smelting crime, because that's why people steal catalytic converters, so they can take them to the same junkers and get a whole lot more money for that than the copper wire. You can get like $1,000 for one of these things. And we're still not able to, this state it will breathe down your neck if you're operating without a liquor license. Restaurants, you've got to operate with, so much oversight from the public health department. Why is it in this specific industry, there is almost no regulation that has teeth when it comes to purchasing stolen property? Every single thing in that advisory from Rob Bonta, misdemeanor, 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 misdemeanor. That doesn't mean anything in California. Misdemeanors don't mean anything.
And his car was susceptible to that type of theft, and he ended up losing his life from people who are stealing his catalytic converter under the cover of darkness by those streetlights being out because of the copper wire thieves. So I am a huge supporter of 476 for this very simple proposition. What it does is it strengthens the laws against junk and metal recycled dealers. Because think about it.
Well, yes, but it increases their fines. It's something, but I don't know if this is really going to do anything. 800-222-KABC is the phone number. 1-800-222-5222. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. Here's a fun thing. If you put in Google, why isn't California stricter on recycling copper? Do you know what the AI thinks? Well, despite all of our robust regulations, the problem of copper theft persists due to enforcement gaps because lack of bureaucratic oversight, regulatory hurdles that make it very easy to do this, and a lack of law enforcement resources to actually enforce this. I'm shocked, I tell you. Hey, look at this, everyone. 790 KABC welcomes Jagged Edge to the Toyota Arena on November 6th. Tickets are on sale now at Ticketmaster.com, but right now, caller number 9 at 1-888-790-5222 gets a pair of tickets to the show. Tickets furnished by Live Nation. Good luck dialing. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. If you'd like to email us, you could do so at randykabc@gmail.com. Thomas in Glendale has it all right here. Randy, take photographs and fingerprints of people selling copper wire. No exceptions. Any business buying copper cable in large amounts from a seller who is not registered with the state shall lose their business license. Same rules apply for selling catalytic converters. These businesses know the wire is stolen, but chose to look the other way no more. That is so simple. And I don't think we need to change any laws to just enforce that. For all the talk of how overregulated California is, where's the regulatory agency on this specific industry? Because unlike when you steal a laptop, it's way harder to ship this stuff to another state. Love this audience. The people in this audience need to be running for office because you're a hell of a lot smarter than the politicians. All right, what does Isabel have to say about this?
Sheriff Luna, thank you so much. And truly,
thank you, Assemblymember Gonzalez. Good morning, everyone. I'm Councilmember Isabel Jurado, proud to represent District 14, which includes downtown LA, Boyle Heights, El Sereno, and Lincoln Heights, neighborhoods that have been too often left in the dark by failing infrastructure and the surge of copper wire theft.
Hey, she admitted that it's stolen copper wire. That's something.
I'm here today to talk about public safety in its fullest sense.
Uh-oh.
Public safety begins with the equitable delivery of services.
What?
Public safety begins with the equitable delivery of services.
She says equity so many times in this. Let's see if we can count.
It's working streetlights, it's functioning traffic signals, and reliable utilities. The things that keep our neighborhoods strong, connected, and resilient.
So what should we do to the bad people that destroy all that?
In CD14, senoras, running clubs, members that are here right now, and kids walk, run, get home in the dark. Commuters trying to get home from work face unsafe conditions when lights and signals fail, and small businesses go without internet services for months at a time.
It's like a third world country.
Streetlight outages have more than doubled in the city since 2021, with nearly 2,000 reports in Boyle Heights alone last year. When essential services fail in neighborhoods in my district, it's not just inconvenient, it's inequitable.
There's the second one.
What's worse, we've spent millions repairing damage from copper wire theft, money that could have gone instead to city services, especially at a time when our budget is stretched thin. And let's speak about the beauty that is the 6th Street Bridge that everybody's been talking about.
You mean because it's disgusting and full of graffiti?
Last year in our budget cycle, I fought hard to make sure that we were going to relight and that we were going to fortify the 6th Street Bridge by the 2028 Olympics in partnership with the Bureau of Engineering and the street lighting here at the city.
She did not get an applause for that.
But fixing infrastructure alone isn't enough. Systems must be protected to prevent future disruptions, and that's exactly why AB 476 is so critical.
It doesn't do any of that.
These challenges exist.
Did she read the bill?
These challenges existed before I took office, and past strategies of reactive, punitive actions didn't stop the copper wire theft. And by the time
So she doesn't want to go after the thieves, but she also doesn't want to go out. I'm so confused.
And by the time arrests are made, the lights are already out. AB 476 shifts the focus to prevention.
Almost had to dump her.
To prevention, transparency, and accountability. It makes families, makes sure that families aren't left in the dark and that public resources serve residents equitably and effectively.
There was the third one. By the way, this is classic over-promising and under-delivering. This bill is going to increase the fines for the crooked recyclers who actually get caught, and we actually enforce the law from $3,000 to $5,000. It doesn't do anything.
Across CD14, we're already taking action to make neighborhoods safer. Major street lighting upgrades are underway to repair the outages, installing improved technology and prevent future service disruptions. Graffiti abatement and expanded cleanup services on the 6th Street Bridge,
which they need to do weekly now, because as soon as they clean up the graffiti, it comes right back,
are protecting this landmark and its infrastructure for the long term. Every light we repair, every signal we restore is increased public safety.
And then they get stolen again. So we'll just keep at it. Well, there you go. Doesn't look like the brilliant people in charge of California are solving this one anytime soon, but at least we give them credit for saying they're doing something. Nah, we don't. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC.